Hi everyone, welcome to this episode of the FuReel Podcast. On the podcast, we talk about what we experienced whilst practicing and teaching Kung Fu and Tai Chi and how it benefits our lives and the three parts that make us whole, the mind, the body and the spirits. Here next to me is Sifu Gawain, master and founder of Jhung Academy, also known, aka my Faja.
Yeah.
My name is Jhung. I'm a senior instructor at the Academy. And whilst you're listening and you may have any questions and wonderings for the podcast, you can send them through to our email address, FuReel@jingmo.com.au, FUREL@GINGMO.com.au.
Wow, that was quick.
So that's really quick. All this is in the show description, so you can go and copy and paste that stuff.
Cool.
FuReel is about passion, it's about culture. It's not just about sharing a Chinese martial art, but it's about sharing the light at the end of my tunnel, and maybe this could be the light at the end of your tunnel, or you can just enjoy some really cool content, and this is FuReel. Okay, that was us going from the intro.
Okay.
All right. Okay, so today I was kind of thinking, what can we talk about?
Yeah.
So, in the early hours of this morning, I was thinking, it's Chinese New Year.
Yes.
And we do a lot of line dancing. And
We
what
do.
are we doing this weekend and stuff like that. So, I thought today's podcast episode could be about Chinese New Year.
Cool.
Or the Lunar New Year.
Yep.
And the 12 animals and the significance around the celebration and lion dancing and stuff like that.
Yep.
Lion dancing for
Yes,
those
not
listening.
line dancing.
Yes, lion.
Boot scooting.
Lion.
Ah.
Ah.
Isn't it? Yeah. Baby lion.
Yeah.
Cub.
Does that sound good?
Sounds
Cool.
awesome.
All right. Well, Chinese New Year is this year the 25th of January,
Yep.
which is on Saturday for us. And hopefully I can get this out before Saturday so you guys
cool.
can listen.
That'd be cool.
And we're heading down to Yallingup, which is a town, it's not a suburb.
It's a town.
It's a town in south of Perth.
Well, southwest, the wine region of Western Australia.
There you go.
Yeah.
And we're doing a line dance where our package allows us to stay overnight. We perform around 6 p.m. and then sleep, wake up and come back. So that's really exciting.
That's good. I'm glad you're going to sleep.
Okay, Chinese New Year.
Yes.
Do you want to talk about what is Chinese New Year to you? And
Yes.
what you grew up kind of doing?
Okay.
Because there's a
Mm.
spiritual part to it and also a routine around it, stuff like that. For those who don't know what it is.
Yes.
And
Well, we probably all know that the lunar year is based on a different calendar.
yeah.
And growing up as a kid in Australia, I remember the Chinese New Year was always the big event. So our regular Western New Year wasn't really celebrated in our family. It was the Chinese New Year was. And there was a lot of hoo-ha around it. And I heard lots of stories. But the things we do at home, which some of which drives my wife crazy, is the superstition stuff.
Yeah.
Like we clean the house before New Year's Eve and then not allowed to clean it afterwards. And if you do clean it, then we keep the dust and the sweepings and the rubbish inside the house for the 2 weeks, which, can be challenging.
Yes.
Um,
What's that significance?
Well, I think a whole lot of it for me, no one ever told me exactly what the significance was, but I think reading between the lines, it's actually about sweeping out the good luck. So you want to keep the good luck in the house. So once the new year started, that full 2 weeks, everything that happens, you keep it in the house. So it's a lot of it is linked to the Cantonese language because the sounds of the words match a meaning of a different word.
Okay.
Like, for example, the lucky numbers during Chinese New Year are the number 8 and the number 9. So Bat is very close to, that's the for those who are listening, that's the Chinese word for the number 8, Bart. Bart. And then fart is the word for prosperity. So when you have lots of 8s, and probably like your number plate is really cool.
Yeah.
You got 888. So that's a really cool number plate because you got lots of lucky numbers.
Yep.
9 or Gao. Chong Gao means longevity.
Yep.
So 9s and 8s are good because 9 means longevity, represents longevity, a good long life. And Bart means prosperity. So sweeping out, if we welcome in the new year, you don't want to sweep it out the door again. So if you clean up, then you should have it inside the house. Lots of superstition things. Some of the things, they make perfect sense to me, like pay off all your bills. Don't have any debt.
Okay.
Going into the new year, so everything you owe people, get it sorted before the new year.
Yeah.
Always a fresh piece of clothing. Red. Wear red on the day because red is the Chinese colour for prosperity, good luck.
And FuReel.
That's it. That's very cool. So those are the things that we practice at home. We have Guanggung at home, so we'll have our family baisan as we welcome in the new year. Good thing is here in Perth we are on the same timeline as China.
Yeah.
So whatever we're doing here is in line with the lunar year.
Yep.
What else? This one's a really hard one.
Okay.
No arguments.
Yeah. Okay.
And no cursing.
To have no arguments.
To have no arguments, cursing, or disagreements for 2 weeks in the new year. That's a tough one.
Yeah. Just stay in your room.
I remember.
Don't talk to me.
I remember when Marianne and I celebrated our first Chinese New Year together. Yeah. She was like, I said, you can't do that. Don't argue with me. What do you mean don't argue with me? I don't agree with that. And then we had a big argument and on our first Chinese New Year together. And that in itself, I've learnt over time that the pressure is not good. Like, I think being able to have a disagreement, but then to be able to make up afterwards is more important than pretending there's no disagreement. So we say repair the tear. We're okay with having arguments, but I think it's really good to work towards having some sort of conclusion or some closure over it that is really authentic and very honest and very loving and very compassionate. That's more important than pretending that you don't disagree, because that's what I used to do as a kid, and it's not healthy. It's not healthy to hold in a grudge or disagreement and put on a false face just because it's superstitious, Yeah. So a lot of this stuff was I grew up. It was handed down to me. It was not really taught. Yeah. In like from a book or anything like that. It's just what our family's always done. Yeah. And that's what we do. Isn't it? The other thing I really like doing that we don't get to do often because Isabella's been, she's only turning 10 this year, and now we have William, which is going to make it hard again, is go to a Buddhist temple on New Year's Eve. And I used to do that before you came and your brothers and sisters come, and I was like, but I think we're getting to a point now where he'd probably be okay. Yeah. Because the line dances happen at the temples and Sil Pao Jhung, or the firecrackers go off and all that sort of stuff. We started last year, putting up the good luck paper, all the good luck signs around the home. We just shifted house. When we did that, I took down the one that we had from last year, so we'll put it up in the new place this year. Just stuff like that. Yeah, I know but for the listeners, that's the sort of thing you can do. Yeah. Often I get asked, I don't know whether you get asked or not, but often I get asked, so what can we do for New Year? And I reckon it seems like if we just pick 3 things, like wear something red, wear something new that's red, if you can. That's one thing. To have a family celebration, so a dinner. And it's kind of like our concentric circles. You start with your immediate family first on New Year's Day, and then you work out day after day, and you include friends and stuff. And then probably the third thing that they could easily do would be to clean the house before New Year's Eve, before midnight into New Year's Day.
Yep.
And don't clean for 2 weeks.
Mm.
Some people can't do that, of course. I mean, I can't.
Yeah.
So you just clean up, keep the stuff inside the house.
Yeah.
In the garage will do. It doesn't have to be in the lounge room or anything like that. We got nappies, so we got to keep them in there.
Gross. Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
Well, we're talking about like your house traditions at the moment. At my place with mum and grandparents and stuff is getting a bit chaotic.
Is it? What's happening there?
Or lots of foods being bought in preparation for like a big feast. I kind of see it compared to a Christmas that I've been to. Lots of roast and stuff. But this one's more big Vietnamese feast. And for those who haven't visited a Asian house before, but generally there's an altar with great grandparents photos on the wall near the altar, with like Guanggung or the Buddha or Gunyam, all these different Buddhas, Buddhas,
celestial beings. Some are gods, some is just celestial beings.
On this altar, and we generally pray for the new year. Pray to the new year with the joss sticks and stuff like that. And there's also lots of flowers, like lots of life, flowers and fruit on the altar as well before we can eat it. I don't know what that. Do you know what that is?
What do you mean?
There are certain plates that I can't go near until the last joss stick has burnt out.
Ah, yes. Well, it's different for different language.
Okay.
Like, so when your mum and I were married, and we'd have our own at home, or would have his, and then Gung would have his, because the Vietnamese language is slightly different. There was slightly different foods. But in the Cantonese speaking, the orange or the mandarin is important because it's about prosperity.
Yeah, we have that.
Mm-hmm. Flowers are important because that's about life, blooming.
Yep.
And wine or water is important because that's about good fortune. Meat is a different thing. I think that's a very modern thing.
We have meat.
Yeah. Buddhist temples, of course, they wouldn't have meat.
No, yeah.
But I think the meat is kind of like about abundance.
Yeah.
So I think having lots of, like at Christmas, is about celebrating abundance. But the meat thing is specific to, a family.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we have meat.
Yeah.
There.
Yeah, well, I would have meat too.
Yeah. And this altar plus like tables next to it, it's just filled with stuff. Like now that I'm older, I see that my grandparents grandma still cooks everything. She doesn't let me help. Lets little people help because it has to be done in a certain way.
Lets little people help.
Yes, let's like maybe just mum or just granddad.
Oh, right, yeah. A few people. Right, got you. Yeah.
And they'd make what's happening. Yeah. They'd make times 2 of everything. Yeah. So one is for the altar. Yeah. And then one is for us to eat. Yeah. And then once the joss sticks is burnt, then we can eat that one too. Yeah. If we're still hungry, I guess. Yeah. So lots happens. And my whole house at the moment is like an Asian food market.
That's cool.
There's heaps of stuff there.
Yeah.
So I guess that's like house traditions.
Yeah.
And we as a family, everyone's coming over tomorrow, New Year's Eve, to stay till midnight if they can. Yeah. To welcome the new year. And then that's it, really. Yeah. There's no getting drunk or there's no fireworks. There's
anymore. Getting drunk anymore.
Yeah. But, it's very different to the Western New Year, how it's celebrated in my view.
Yeah, different culture.
Yeah.
Some people get drunk. Like I remember in celebrating New Year in Hong Kong or in China, there's big feasts and lots of wine and rice wine and people go off.
Yeah. I guess everyone's older now as well.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
Mm.
But then another part is the calendar you mentioned at the start.
Yes.
There's 12 animals.
Yes.
I am 95, so I'm the year of the pig, which
Uh-huh.
is still my year, technically.
It is
Until
still your
Saturday.
year until Saturday.
And then the
Well,
year
until
of the
midnight
rat.
tomorrow. Midnight
Yes,
tomorrow.
until midnight tomorrow, which is the year of the rat.
Yeah.
Your snake.
I'm a snake.
My mum's an ox. Marianne's a tiger. Isabella's a tiger. William's a dog. My other sister is a tiger as well. So there's all these animals depending on what year you're born.
Yeah.
We watched a YouTube video talking about the order of the animals.
Mm.
But do you actually know why there are animals?
Why there are animals?
Represents different years.
Yes. Well, the story goes.
Yeah.
And I'm
I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I'm no expert at it either.
Why not, man?
What
You're Asian. Shouldn't know.
It's like all Chinese do kung fu. The story goes is that the animals were Buddha had asked the animals to a race, and each animal has a little story that depicts their character.
Mm.
And because it's the rat, I paid more attention to the rat. The rat is clever and cunning, and couldn't cross the river, so asked the ox to help it across the river, and as it got to the other side, jumped off the ox's back and landed first and won the race. So the first animal in the Chinese zodiac is the rat.
Yes.
And then there's a story about all the others.
Yes.
So that's basically it.
Yeah.
Really.
So it's just characteristic to each animal.
Yeah. Yeah. The characters of each animal that kind of.
Well, it's kind of like the Western Cancer and Sagittarius and all that, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. I think so. Once again, I'm no expert. I don't
Why
actually follow it because I just don't follow it. I know enough about it, and only the things that are relevant to me. Like I know about snake characteristics, pig characteristics, tiger characteristics, dog characteristics.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. Okay.
I used to know about the ox characteristics,
But yeah, for those who don't know, this is part of the
Yeah.
Chinese New Year
Yeah.
celebrations.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what comes with it as we've grown up, I say we because I can.
Yeah.
Is lion dancing.
Yes.
Traditional Chinese lion dancing.
Yeah.
Difference between dragon dancing and lion dancing.
Yes.
I looked at Wikipedia.
A Wikipedia.
Wikipedia. I don't know why I said it like that. Wikipedia.
Because you're Asian.
Today, and it's also got the common mistakes for mistaking which one is which.
Oh, really?
So it says that, as we know, most people mistake it as the dragon dance.
Yes.
Whereas the dragon requires many people.
Has more legs.
And is stood up by a pole.
Yeah.
And the lion is only two people.
Yes.
That kind of looks more like a lion or a tiger or a dog.
Yeah.
4 legs.
4 legs.
4 legs. So that's what the Chinese lion dance is. I guess when did you start lion dancing?
Well, you see, for me,
86.
I just want. No, it was earlier than 86.
Okay.
Probably when I was about 3 or 4, I would have had my own head. I was born. Sorry, I was born with a head.
Okay.
Like you.
Yeah.
But I had my own lion head when I was little.
That's great, man.
I think I just want to say this, that as you were describing the food and the festivities and stuff, there was part of me that was feeling like, shit, I'm not a very good dad, am I? I don't do all of that stuff. But in actual fact, it's just where the accent is. Like, for your Gung, being a Buddhist himself, that he practices that.
Yeah.
Once you brought up the lion dance, I then realized actually where our emphasis has always been is in the expression of Chinese New Year.
Yep.
Rather than the celebration of Chinese New Year. So I would go somewhere to celebrate, like to a Buddhist temple, or we go to a restaurant and have a family dinner. but I wouldn't know how to put on the celebration at home because my parents never did that either.
Yep.
And I grew up without my grandparents.
Yep.
So I don't know what my maternal grandparents did or my paternal. Actually, my paternal grandparents were Christians.
Oh.
So they may not have done much at all. And I know people probably wondering, why is Sifu talking like he doesn't know them? Well, it's actually because we got this crazy family dynamic where we're all separated.
It's great.
And my maternal grandparents, my maternal grandfather died when he was in Macau, and he died when I was in year 4. So I was 9. And I only met him for the first time when I was 3, and I only saw him one other time. So, I'm sure if I was going back to Macau every Chinese New Year, I'd have a different experience because they would have been celebrating Chinese New Year. Because they weren't into Kung Fu, they wouldn't have performed Chinese New Year. So, it's quite different.
Yeah. So
my focus has always been, as it is yours, had been through the Gun.
Yeah.
Until such time now with your grandparents exposing this part of it.
Yeah.
So for me, Chinese New Year in our family, because we've been a Kung Fu family ever since I was born, has always been about line dancing and performing, displaying Chinese New Year for the community. And it always has been that. There has not been a year in my entire life where there hasn't been a line dance that I performed in or performed for.
Yeah.
For Chinese New Year.
Wow.
I know. That's pretty wacky when you think about it, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because even I remember Mum used to play the drum. So, Mama used to play the drum. There's actually photos of her drumming, black and white photos.
Can't imagine that.
Yeah, no, she was really dedicated to it. I feel a bit sad now thinking about that. She was really dedicated to it and supported in all of that.
Yeah.
And it was, and also just framing it. You and I don't know what it's like to be legally treated as non-Australian. So when the White Australia policy was on, it was abolished just before I was born, so in 1963. So although you and I probably have had experience of being treated differently because people were racist,
yes,
having a legal structure that actually supported that is another level again, and that's what your grandparents and my parents got, and your mum's parents too, to a degree, because they have their own story getting to Australia. So back then, it was just post the White Australia policy, so I can see why Mum was so into, right, we're doing Chinese things.
Yes.
Because it's like, if you don't do it, like the government doesn't even recognise it. If you don't do anything about it, then it's gone for good, right? So she was right in there. So, Mama was playing drums, I was playing cymbals, it was just a thing, running around with a lie in the head, not knowing what I was doing, but just shaking it around, getting in everyone's way as a kid. That's what you do.
Cool.
Nice. So it's always been that.
It's fun.
Yeah, it is fun. It is fun.
So there are many types
of
line dancing, right?
There's only 3 types that I know of. Yeah, my understanding is only 3 types.
Yeah, there's that really ugly one.
Well, that's a Kalen. That's different. That's not that's like a lizard, I think. Is that what you're talking about?
Oh no, it looks like a mop.
Yeah, that's a Kalen.
It's really ugly.
Oh, the gold and red one? That looks like a dog?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, no, it's a northern line.
Yeah.
Yeah, northern lines are different. No.
He ugly.
Yeah, okay. There's the 2 styles. Yeah, there's 2 styles of southern line. Yes. So there's Hokshan and Fatsan.
Yes.
And they're actual mountains in China. and they're Southern Chinese. Then the Northern Chinese lines are more like a performing line. My understanding, and I this is only from my experience, it seems like Northern Chinese have a completely different celebration structure to Chinese New Year to Southern Chinese.
Okay.
Yeah. And it makes sense because the continent's so big. Like you go to Europe, for example, and Italians would celebrate completely different festivities than the Germans, for example.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or the Norwegians, if you go north and south. So in northern China, the northern Chinese don't celebrate Chinese New Year in the same way as the Southern Chinese do. The family stuff is very similar because the stories are similar. Like I've heard Northern Chinese stories and Southern China. I know the Southern Chinese or the Cantonese stories, and they're very similar.
Yeah.
But there are differences. But the expression of Chinese New Year from my experience, is very different because the Northern Chinese don't use the same lions.
Yeah.
So
I don't even know what they look like.
Well, they're the dog ones.
Oh, they're the dog ones.
Yeah. So the Northern Chinese lions are the gold and
red.
Well, reddish, yeah. Gold and red lions that look more like fluffy dogs.
A mop.
A mop. Hope you don't insult people when you say that.
It freaked me out when I saw them.
When?
But I think you had some.
We did.
In Elder Street.
Yeah, we did.
They were downstairs or something.
Yeah, they did. Yeah, we did.
And I say downstairs, like it was like a basement looking type room.
Yep.
And you just turn the corner and there's this bloody head looking at you. As a kid. Oh my goodness.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Yep.
You were traumatized by that.
Yep.
Oh, I'm sorry I traumatized you storing those lines.
That's probably why I'm so ugly about it.
Yeah, probably. Yeah. I bought 2 adult ones and 2 child ones back in the 80s, and we just used them as additions to the celebration type thing. But we didn't know how to use them properly, and we didn't do acrobatics and stuff. If you've seen it, in Beijing, they have the shows that have them, and they're acrobats inside doing absolutely amazing stunts with the lions.
Yes.
But we never did that. We just had them and looked like...
freaked kids out.
And That's why we had them. So you asked me the question, how many lions there were. In my experience, there are 3. There are 2 different styles of southern lion. There's Hokksan and Fatsan. And then the other style of lion is the Northern Chinese lion. There's only one style. It's an acrobatic lion. We've always done the Fatsan lion dancing, and I think, when was it? 2008? We started the Hokksan.
7, I think.
2007. We started Hokksan lions under Siwa Sifu from
Malaysia,
from KL. And that's it, really. We have both the Fatsan and Hokksan lions here, and we practice both. Yeah. Learn, practice, celebrate.
Create a Toyota hybrid.
Yeah, Toyota. We've
created.
Jeepers, what is that?
It's our timer.
Oh, okay, cool.
Create a Toyota hybrid.
Yeah.
Cool. So we practiced both, and also Singmich and I went to Melbourne 2017 to practice some more, brought back our knowledge, and both are fun.
Time you guys go again, maybe when Singmich gets back from the UK. Singmich?
You coming back, man? You coming back?
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. So they're the types for those who are listening.
Yep.
I guess I have why here, but the why line dancing. I guess, but it goes back to my next point. The point before on my notes, it says what is the link to martial arts, the lion dancing. So
the story I grew up with, there's several different stories, but the one I grew up with, the first story I heard was that lion dancing had always been traditionally practiced by Kung Fu students. So when you had a village every village had their own Kung Fu master, like they had their own butcher and their own doctor and etc. They had a Kung Fu master, and his job or her job was to teach everyone Kung Fu, the philosophy of it, and to help them with the line dancing to celebrate the new year. That was it.
Is it always connected to the new year?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Traditionally, the line dance was, as a celebration, was connected to the new year. But then the other part of the story was the line dance was used by Kung Fu schools as a method to challenge each other.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So if one school, one sifu wanted to show that he was better than another sifu, he would rock up in their line, and it was the particular color was the black and white line.
Mm-hmm.
Very seldom seen now. When I grew up, there was only 3 lines. There was a red and black line, there was a black and black line, and then there was a multicolored line. And the 2 traditional lines, this is how I learnt the story, the 2 lines were actually only the red and black and the black and black. The coloured line was a modern line that signified celebration. And then, as we see now, there's all sorts of colours of line, and it's all about celebration. We even have lines like, I think, Sifu made lines that had lights, LEDs.
Yeah, the whole thing.
The whole thing lit up.
Yeah.
The body, feet, everything lit up. Not just the eyes and the horn.
Yeah.
And even the horn's a new thing. Like when the first lines that we had just had the eyes light up. Two little globes. That was it. It was like a dull little yellow light. There was no colour at all.
I saw those light up lines when we went to Melbourne.
Yeah.
And they hold the battery packs in their pockets whilst they're dancing.
Really?
Because it needs
so much battery.
And they're literally like in a, those CGI suits where they got the dots and balls there.
Yeah.
Right? They literally like that, but in their t-shirt and pants. But they're all wired up. So
oh, really?
Once they're in, they're in.
Oh, wow. Cecilia has a set.
They have to plug themselves in.
Wow.
So it's not as free, and they're really heavy.
Oh, they would be.
They're because they're
going
to hold the wire and stuff.
Yeah. It's a lot of copper.
Heavy.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know Cecilia had a set.
Yeah.
That's cool. So the story goes is that the line dance is an expression of the Kung Fu school's skill. And it was used, and this is where the story crosses over a little bit into modern time. The history is that the mafia would recruit for their work Kung Fu schools to be their strong arm.
Wow.
Yeah. So in Hong Kong, for example, this is where the story is focused on. In Hong Kong, the mafia would strong arm Kung Fu schools to be their soldiers, and then they would use, in camouflage, use the line dance as a way of really just doing their work.
Mm.
And the exciting story, so like that little boy excitement part of me, liked to hear back then that the line dance was they'd have knives in their shoes and knives in their belts, and they would stab each other and fight to the death and all that sort of stuff. So they were the stories that I grew up with. And there was always this mystique around the black line. Mm. So the black line was the challenging line. If one master wanted to prove that they were better than another, they would send their black line out, and they would dance towards the other Kung Fu school in the other village, and people would know that's a challenge. Mm. And then the black lion's job was to take down the sign, because traditionally a Kung Fu school would have their plaque. So this is all quite old-fashioned, but the standard bearer of a Kung Fu school or style would be given a plaque that is designed to be hung up outside the front door of the school by the retiring master. Mm. So if in this context, if we were like back a few centuries and I was retiring, I would present my successor with a Jing Mo Kun. This person who has this plaque is the standard bearer and the torch holder of the Jing Mo legacy.
Yeah.
So then you'd hang it up on your front door.
Mm.
And so if someone wanted to say, Jingmo guys are crap, we're going to take all their students, how are we going to do it? They didn't have Facebook back in those days. So it was, if they proved they were better fighters, then they would say, all your students are my students. Everyone come. And that was it.
Yeah.
Right? I don't know about loyalty and all that stuff, but that's the story. So the Black Lion's job was twofold. One was to defeat the defending line, and how you lost the battle wasn't to the death, was if you dropped your lion head, and then in other words, if you're out of character, and you're no longer a lion, and you're just two guys standing in a line who dropped their head, or had enough, or too tired, can't continue, and say, we give up, we surrender. Then that was stage one. You'd lost. Then the Black Lion would stay in character and climb up to your plaque and pull it down. Now, if they can pull your plaque down, you're done. That's it. The Sifu, lost face totally, would never be able to teach Kung Fu ever again. That'll be it. Gone.
Fired.
No face.
Fired.
Yeah, fired.
Cool.
So they were the stories. And I remember as a young man, a bit younger than you, because Yaya had left Brisbane at that stage. That's another story. And I was left holding the fort. There was politics, as there is with everything. And I remember this one time. Actually, you did experience this a couple of years ago at Gloucester Park. But there was this one time where myself and another line dance troupe met in Chinatown. And you're not supposed to do that.
Okay.
Right? You're supposed to be tough and everything like that.
Wait, in the line?
In the lines, yeah. So we had arranged to do Choi Chang for a number of restaurants, and out of courtesy, what you do is you just do your own. You don't steal other people's Chang. You steal other people's Chang. That's their livelihood. There is this other group that stole our Chang.
Dak Dum Chang.
Dak Dum Chang. Yeah, it's true. That's true.
They got up. Here we go, guys.
They did. They
Prepare
took
your ears. Prepare your ears.
I can't remember the name of the restaurant, but I know exactly where it is. It's a corner of Duncan and Ann Street. It's right at the top of the Chinatown Mall.
You know what perplexes me?
What?
When we're driving.
What?
Nowadays.
Yes.
Right. You don't know the streets.
No.
And you get lost a lot.
Yes.
But when you tell stories, I know exactly it was the corner of Anna Gibbs Street, right down the hill. near the Wacker. It's so crazy.
The Gabba, not the Wacker. The Wacker's in Perth.
I know, but you said the Wacker.
Oh, yeah, I know. One time I said
that. But, we're telling a story. The corner of Duncan
and Ann Street. I know exactly where it is. I know, that's crazy, because I am so bad at directions now. That's crazy. I got lost with Isabella once. She had to get me out of an apartment block because I got lost in there. All right, anyway. So, you're distracting me, lah. You distract. Anyway, so there's, maybe Dyson Graham can remember, because he was there. Dyson Graham was there. We came to our line dancer, and our firecrackers, they even let our firecrackers off. Cheeky, lah. Like, and we could see our firecrackers going off, and we thought,
from a distance.
From a distance, because we're down the bottom of the mall. These guys were cheeky.
Yeah.
And so we had a confrontation in the Lions. And the restaurant manager was saying, stop, don't fight. I'll put another Chang up and all that stuff. But we were all hot-headed, young, and, wanted to prove stuff. What happened?
Yeah, what happened?
Is that for another episode, or you want to tell me now?
Still now, man.
Oh, okay. Well, there was a confrontation in the Lions.
Yeah.
And I'd like to think that we won.
Yeah. Because
we knocked them off, and then they stopped playing, and they stopped being in character.
Well, then you won.
Yeah, well, that's in the tradition, but they were wanting us to get out of the lines and have a fist fight. We're not interested in doing that. We want to stay in character of the tradition and stuff. And
how'd you knock them down or whatever?
I was a drum player.
Oh.
Yeah, so it was like drum gets harder, faster. We get more energetic. They just knew. Like it was seeing Michael, seeing Tony, Russo, seeing Michael Madden, seeing Glenn Geary. I can't remember who else was there. Oh, seeing Jack Illick was probably in that too. Yeah, so maybe seeing Kelvin Winterburn, maybe
Like
Cecil
kicking and
Sean.
stuff. Or?
Oh yeah. Yeah, it was kicking and leg hooking and bouncing, so you use your shoulders and your ma and you knock the lion away from the space and just take up the space. It's pretty much like what you experienced. Who was your tail that night at Gloucester Park? Was it Sing Mitch? Was it you and Sing Mitch?
Sing Mitch was in the other tail.
Oh.
It was Sing Mitch and Sing Torren.
Yes.
It was me.
Was it Phoebe?
No.
Anyway, it's like what you
Whoever's
guys
my
experienced,
tail, yeah.
except these guys here didn't follow the tradition and have the lions push you out.
Yeah.
The guy outside did it, which they didn't know.
No.
They don't know the tradition.
Yeah.
They probably don't know. And anyway,
Yep.
so that's another story. That's another thing.
Yep. Like and subscribe for more.
Yeah, so that was like, it was probably 86 to 88. No, serious, because we weren't in Chinatown. We were operating at Upper Mount Gravatt around that period.
Imagine, sorry, pause you there.
Pause me.
Imagine when I'm talking
Yeah.
to my son or to a podcast in the future, and I'm referring to 2018, 2019.
Yeah. In 2018, in 2019, you were at this Tai Chi exhibition.
Yeah, that's
and
crazy. I'm just thinking like that far ahead. It's gonna be so weird. It's so crazy. Like, this is how Dad feels in '86.
But it's 2018.
Yeah.
Mm.
Anyway.
Yeah, so your son's going to go, right, in 2018?
Yeah.
In 2018? Yeah, so that was that, and I got to, we got to live that kind of experience.
So it always happens then. There's always one incident.
There's, I guess so. I mean,
from what you share,
yeah,
and what I experience,
yeah,
it's like, oh, Dad's been through this before already.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, I think that we probably attract less ego-driven responses now than we have before. You're a much more balanced young man than I was at your age. When I was your age, I was really fiery, arrogant. Must have been really hard to live with. Don't know how I had girlfriends. Really self-centered. The whole world evolved around me. I wasn't very thoughtful at all. I was all about looking tough, being tough. Everyone just had to bow down to me. And I think part of it was because had disappeared, and our family name was being tarnished, and I had to stand for something. So I was very aggressive. I had no space, no compassion for anyone. It was like survival of the fittest here, because I was just surviving back then. So that period of time, 86 through to 89, was just like that 3 years. It started in 85, so it was about 4 years where it was survival. It was like everything was disappearing. It had gone bankrupt. There was a whole lot of stuff about the family name being involved in the mafia and prostitution and gambling and drugs, putting a whole lot of people off right now.
Underbelly.
But
Chinese underbelly. The
Yep.
under the belly.
So there's a lot of stuff that many people probably don't know.
Yeah.
That I'm not ashamed of it in any way, shape, or form, and it was all proven to be just false allegations. Nothing stuck, because at least I can only speak from my experience. I did not see any of the stuff that we were alleged. There's a few things, but none of that was, it didn't involve people dying.
Yeah.
It didn't involve selling drugs, and there was no prostitution and all this sort of stuff. It's really horrible stuff that was slung our way by, in essence, one particular angry person who stuffed it up for himself. So anyway, another story. So back then, everything was gone. And so therefore I forgive myself for being the way I was because I can see the logic behind it. But as I was just saying to person to Ryan today, who's asking about the history of the academy and why we are what we are, I've asked the question about how do I respond to violence with non-violence and keep myself safe? I've been asking that question of myself for a long time, like from the time you were born, pretty much. I was very, very open about that question.
Yeah.
Because I guess that's probably more like me than the violent stuff.
Yeah.
The violent stuff really doesn't. I've never been a person that likes to hit people or bash them up, or I might have talked tough in my 20s, but very seldom did I actually follow through. Yeah. I might have followed through twice, actually. Twice. There are two instances that I can clearly recall. Others might disagree with me, but I can only recall two where I followed through on my threats.
Yeah.
It's just not very like me to be like that. So, that we all have the opportunity to make choices in our lives.
Yeah.
So anyway, getting back to the line dancing thing, that's what it was all for me.
Yeah. Yeah, cool, man.
So that was like how it all evolved, and that's why my experience and what we do as a family, because we're just such a martial family, that it seems to be centered around how we express Chinese New Year as opposed to how we celebrate Chinese New Year. Because I think the celebration stuff is more family driven. It's like what like in your case, what your grandparents are doing is the things that you then have the opportunity when you have children and have your own family to do the same and follow suit.
Yeah.
Because that's what you've been exposed to. Yeah. Whereas I never got exposed to that. What I got exposed to was what you see now here at the Gun, and that is all the line dancing that happens, and people's egos and events that we go to where people don't like sharing part of the event, and what happens then. And then, then there's others like the Jhung group are completely opposite.
Yeah. And
it's actually about celebrating Chinese New Year. And here's the proper way lion dance teams pay respect to each other.
Yeah.
And that's what we do. Yeah. We'd like to do that. That's why you were there. Yeah. Is you were in the process of doing that. But
exactly.
The other team were just at the other end of the scale.
Yeah.
Completely other end of the scale.
Yep.
They didn't want to celebrate or share at all in any way. But instead of saying from the outset, please don't come and celebrate with us, we're not into that, they did what they did. So anyway, that's it. I think that's it. I think that's all. There's only that one exciting story for me.
I guess for me it just thickens my understanding as well. And hearing about the challenges and stuff at the stealing your
Chang
and stuff.
took our Hong Bao as well.
Oh wow!
Everything,
Jeez.
The whole lot, and lit our firecrackers. So talk about stealing your fire. They actually lit our firecrackers.
Yeah.
How rude.
How rude. Just for me, like, if we're living in like a parallel sort of timeline, that whatever what you've shared with me, I've had glimpses of myself in my own way. And it's like, I guess it just takes everyone to make the world, and it's always going to be that type of character out there.
Of course.
Doesn't matter what world you're living in.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
But through our practice, how we respond.
Yeah.
That's
all we've got control over.
Just because we know that those characters doesn't mean it's any easier or any reason to do ABC. Yeah. It's actually how we respond. Yeah. That's the way I see it. All right. Well, quickly before we finish,
Yep.
maybe we can go over.
Right.
But I wanted to share, like last podcast, my reflection actually around the line dancing.
Yep.
So it's quite relevant.
Right.
All right.
Yep.
So it's 2-ish pages.
Yep.
But it's all positive. It's all good.
Okay, that's all right.
That's all good.
If it wasn't, that's okay too.
But also, you know, if you can relate or have a similar experience, butt in.
Oh, okay. So if I don't have if I have a dissimilar experience, I'm not allowed to.
Get that. All right, here we go. So we did our first line dance of 2020 on Sunday, 19th of Jan.
Yep.
And my reflection is I've been stepping up my daily practice over the 2019-2020 Christmas holidays. So I wrote down things I do: 5K run, the Kung Fu, but with rings and weapon drills and stuff like that. Not just the one hand drill. Tai Chi, of course, and some core workouts, which I mentioned last podcast. I said, didn't realize it would have such a positive effect on me to my line dance, the daily practice. Actually, the first time I corrected my line dance form was the end of 2019, noticing to not use my shoulders as much and to relax them. But post Sterling Farmers Market lion dance, I felt great.
Cool.
What are you laughing at?
Sometimes you sound so Asian. Post Sterling Market.
Mate, I'm half of you, okay? I am Asian. I'm full Asian, in fact.
Actually, I was about to say you're full Asian.
All right. So my cardio fitness was challenged, but I didn't feel exhausted.
Yeah.
I was more energetic during the dance and had more space to have fun and interact with people.
Yeah.
I was using my shoulders less.
Yeah.
But my reflection, really, I see it's crazy how doing my daily practice helps in the long run.
Yeah.
So sometimes I feel like I'm doing this, but I don't feel the benefits. But then there are times where events or whatever, or line dance, for example, I feel the benefits of, this is what I've been working on.
Yep.
So consistently meeting that threshold of, I'm too tired, this hurts, I should stop and have a break, meeting those challenging thresholds.
Yeah.
Has really helped. But I don't, even though I meet those, I don't give up on my daily practice. So I still keep going. When I feel this way or have these thoughts, I keep going one step, one yilu, one drill, one anything at a time, depends what I'm doing.
Yeah.
It might seem obvious, but I feel like when I'm mid-performance or even a mid-competition, there is no way of stopping of what I'm doing. Like I have to keep going. I can't just stop the performance. But it's like my mind, body, and spirit knows I've got what it takes to keep going. It just feels really good when I can feel the positive effects of my practice, and it's really like a reward.
It's really cool.
So yeah, on Sunday I just felt so good after line dance compared to
Previous
years where I feel so exhausted, can't do anything for the rest of the day. It's a wipeout, expended, lots of energy, I'm tired.
Yeah.
But on Sunday,
yeah,
it's great.
Yeah.
For some reason.
That's cool.
But I put it down to my practice because,
yep,
like internally, that internal battle, I'm too tired, I can't do this, I want to stop, I'll have a break, I'll come back to it. The more I meet those, I feel like, the more times when I'm in the line head and I'm like, this is challenging. I need to sit down in the line and say, nope, I've got this. I've done this before. Like that feeling of confidence in myself, like the Tai Chi challenge. It's crazy. I think it's crazy.
That's cool. What's crazy?
That whole thing.
Oh, right.
I don't know how to describe it apart from writing it down like this.
Right.
But it might seem obvious that you practice or you run for how many kilometers and you build up your cardio, and then when you do your
stuff,
when you do your race, you can do the 5Ks or whatever.
Yeah.
But
how does it affect everything?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's cool.
Yes.
Excellent.
Can you relate or
me?
Yeah, or
the only
experienced a similar.
Yeah,
this is just me.
Yeah.
Am I alone, mate? Am I alone?
Well, the similar thing for me is moving house.
Okay.
The last time we moved house was 5 years ago, and I must say this time moving house, I wasn't as physically exhausted as I can remember what it's like shifting. Even so much so, friends of mine who were coming to help were. It was noticeably different. Like I was noticeably fitter than I've ever been before. But I don't lift weights.
Yeah.
And I don't pack boxes and move boxes and stuff like that.
Yeah.
No sore back. I was waiting, for, because you inevitably you can't bend your knees on every box lift.
Yeah.
And I was waiting for the tightness to set in, and just those stereotypical feelings after moving house. None of it came, and still maintaining my daily practice. And I think I look forward to the evenings during the house move. It lasted a whole week to stretch everything out and unwind and really feel the body and stuff like that. So that's my similarity in the house move for sure.
Just from your practice.
Just from my practice.
The fit.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah.
And I like I've said in the previous podcast, I was very surprised by how steady I was in the face of the violence from.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah,
yeah.
I was very surprised. Like I didn't spark up once at all, and I put it down to my daily practice as well.
Yeah,
and I've been thinking about this a lot. I just do want to say that I acknowledge, and I'm very grateful for my friends Robert and Annie Chu for introducing me to Master Chen in 2013. She spent a lot of energy keeping me in there and asking me to trust her judgment.
Yep.
And by no way, shape or form am I saying Master Chen has done this for me. He hasn't. Because daily practice is intimate. It's an intimate experience and relationship with yourself. Nobody can make us do it.
Yep.
However, if it wasn't for Master Chen introducing to me the concept of 10,000 Yilus, I wouldn't have got to daily practice.
Yeah.
So I've never heard about the encouragement around daily practice through Master Chen, but you have to do daily practice to live out the rule of 10,000.
Yep.
So I'm really grateful for that. If that in alone is all I get from my experience with Chen Style Tai Chi Practical Method, I am eternally grateful, because it's completely changed everything about my experience in Kung Fu and Tai Chi.
Yeah, well, it's like the gift that keeps on giving.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
The really cool thing about it is that it's not something we can just talk about. The experiences we get are through doing it, actually. And I see it in the pattern now that with the students doing daily practice, it's the struggle of I don't have time, and then the next level of I've started, this is hard, and then the next level of wow, this is awesome, and then the next level of they can reflect on how awesome it is. I've noticed that.
That's cool.
Have you noticed that?
Absolutely.
Similarities in everyone.
Yeah.
And once they get it, they get it.
Yeah.
Once you get it, you get it.
Yeah.
But it's not something you can go, here's the book on daily practice, read it, and you'll get it. It's actually, you have to
experience it. And experience the challenge of, well, experience every part of it.
Yeah.
Not wanting to do it as much as doing it.
Yes. Yeah, you can't just do it when you want to do it and don't do it when you don't want to do it.
That's right. Yeah.
It's crazy.
It is crazy.
Yeah.
Now, there must be a word for that describes that type of journey, because I'm sure it's not just
awesomeness.
I'm sure it's not just about martial arts daily practice.
The journey to becoming the dragon warrior.
Poe talked about it. That's awesome.
But yeah, it is really cool.
Yeah.
All right. Well, shall we end the podcast episode?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah? Yes.
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 Yes. Well, we're ending it. Say
Okay.
any final words.
Yeah, I like how you always do that. Yeah. There it is. Because I
Final
go.
words.
So, no.
Well, thank you for listening to this podcast episode. You can check out some more FuReel content on Instagram and YouTube. Instagram is FuReel Official. Go give us a like and follow. And YouTube is FuReel TV. I post these podcast episodes for you to watch for real. But I'm also doing my weekly vlogs, pretty much sharing my daily practice reflections and going a little bit deeper and actually showing you my practice with a song and dance.
Cool.
Yeah. So go check that out if you want to. Like and subscribe. And we'll see you guys in the next episode.
Excellent.
Okay.
Thank you.
See you later.
再见.
Goodbye.
再见.
Goodbye.
You have the last word.
Goodbye.
Okay. See ya.
Alright. See ya. No, we're ending. Stop.
Stop.
It now.
Okay, I'm stopping.
Stop it now.
I've stopped. You don't want to talk
Stop.
to you.